Exactly. So I
Definitely.
think I'm really it's in my reading list, absolutely, your book, because I think and I'm also always intrigued by the all the asylum kind of horror, because it has a another factor of the mental
Yeah.
health, which is so scary, where you never know where's something supernatural or it's just the
Yeah.
mind of the person. It's that's I
Yeah.
find that so scary. Like all the I don't know, it seems that goes together, the haunted asylums, or the haunted
Yeah.
houses, the hospitals, and all these forsaken hospitals all over the world. It's
Yeah.
I find it so disturbing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree with you, and it's such a draw, isn't it? I think of horror fans to be
Mhm.
intrigued by these
Yes.
places and
Yes.
those dark corners of the human mind that we don't always get to see inside.
Mm,
Um, because one of the things with Asylum Daughter, I know it's such a horror trope, oh, the asylum.
yeah.
For me personally, one of the reasons I had to write it was I actually grew up next to the asylum that it's based on. So
Wow.
it's based on an asylum in Glasgow where I grew up. So I'd always remember and actually I wrote about it in the introduction of the book. I used to get up for school in the morning and you would hear the alarm going off at the
Oh,
siren, the asylum,
oh,
sorry. And the alarm sounded like an air raid siren
oh,
every single morning at 8 a.m. And then the asylum closed down when I was a very young teenager.
yeah.
Yeah, so it closed down in 1996 when it was 100 years old. And when it closed down, it was just a total draw. You just
Yeah,
wanted to go over and explore it. And
of
me and my
course.
friends often did end up going and playing in the woods and sneaking in a broken window and going for exploring in this asylum. It was really interesting and it was just such a draw. Another reason I had to write a story and feature that particular hospital because yeah, it's just that intrigue of
Actually,
abandoned places
yes.
and people that were abandoned within them because of mental health conditions and
Whoa. No wonder you like horror. You had to be a horror writer.
oh yeah, you have to embrace it.
Yeah. So, talking about all the in the writing world and the publishing world, for you, what is the best and the worst of writing a book in the process?
um I think the best thing is when you've got lots of ideas and they start to come together. I suppose for me, because of the way I write, as I said, a bit of a knitter, a bit of a pantser at times. And I've got lots of ideas scattered all over the place. And then when I start bringing that story together and seeing how all my characters can connect, and just getting that full picture together, that's probably one of my favourite things about it.
Yeah.
One of the worst things, I'm not sure if there is any.
The more
I'm not
tedious
sure.
or the less fun part.
The
Let's
last one. See, I'm so. I even love the editing, and I know most people hate that
really.
part. I like that bit. um, no offense to you, this is probably one of the hard parts for me. Is talking about my writing.
Yeah.
That's probably the hardest part for me, and that's probably why it took me so long to actually publish anything too. I didn't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Probably a bit reserved about it. So
Yeah.
facing my demons.
I know. I think that makes sense. I think there's a lot of authors that it has nothing to do to write a story with talking about it or promoting it. Even I think writing, it's a very introspective kind of.
Yes.
So chances are you are an introvert and you don't want to
Yes.
talk about your. I mean, it's very. Sometimes it happens to me when people ask me about my drawings or and I have no answers. I know nothing. I don't know how I do it. I don't know why I do it, and they just appear.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hard thing, isn't it? Like, what inspired you to draw that? How could you create something so dark so vividly? And you're like, well, I just did.
It's my soul. It's just dark. Yes, exactly. It's exactly that. So I'm always, I admire that you can write and you can develop something so complex, because I can't. I mean, I have the attention span of a squirrel. When I draw something, I never take more than 5 minutes. And if it's something special for someone that asks me for something, then I go back and I do it, and again and again and again. But if it's something for me that I just draw something and a boom, 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 you know, I don't. Sometimes I have ideas in my mind, and I think, because I'm also surrounded by authors, sometimes I think, but come on, Mar, you must be able to write something, maybe at least 3 lines. Let's try it out, you know. And I can't. I absolutely can't. When I have written 2 paragraphs, I'm bored of myself.
Yeah.
I can't. I cannot do that. So it's amazing to me how you can write a full book and make things happen, or, you know, it's how is that process for you?
I think a lot of people who write and don't create art the way you do feel the same way about your process. Like, we have these ideas in our heads but couldn't translate them to a glorious piece of imagery that way without using words. So we use words, whereas you'll use charcoal and pens and things like that. I think it's a different way of exercising those images in our mind, isn't
But
it?
mine is easier. Yours is much more complicated. It's true. I'm just, you know, and then it happens. But yours, a book doesn't just happen, you know. It's even the editing part and all of that, that there's a lot of authors who struggle with that, because it doesn't seem fun at all, really.
I can be quite a ruthless editor when I'm self-editing. I'm quite ruthless, because usually when I write something, and I might feel great about it when I write it, but then I'll go back and read it and I'll go, oh no.
Yeah.
No, get rid of that, scrap it. No, what were you thinking? What were you thinking?
I think
so you end up, your editing becomes an entire rewrite.
Yeah, an entire different book.